Good evening. I'm Joe Cutbirth, and this is To the Next Stop News. Tonight we'll have stories from one of the more interesting places in New York City, the subway. Students from Manhattan College fanned out across the Big Apple, and they're back with some fascinating stories about life below the surface of the city. So let's get this show on track. Jeannie Supple's here to tell us something about we've all experienced. So Jeannie, how bad are those crowded subway carts?
So you can only imagine how claustrophobic, aggravating, and filthy these subways can be due to overcrowding. People are always pushing, shoving, like on top of you. It's not fun. There is definitely major health risks on the line as well.
Okay, let's take a look.
5 p.m. strikes the clock. Riding the subway can be claustrophobic and a bit sweaty for passengers.
During prime rush hours, passengers are shoved around and can barely get a whiff of fresh air. Overcrowding on the New York subway has been a prime issue that has yet to be resolved.
In December of 2013, 6,942 trains delayed reaching their final terminal due to overcrowding.
I take 3 different subways and they're all overcrowded. I am always squishing between people and people are always pushing.
A subway train from Queens enters Manhattan overloaded by 10%. Just 1/3 of these trains are overloaded more than 20%.
It's like really crowded and it's like hot outside. People like sweating on you. It's really nasty.
A lot of times people shove you without meaning to, and you want to shove back, but then you turn around and you see it's like an 80-year-old lady.
The MTA's long-term solution is to be able to allow more trains to run by changing the signaling system, which purpose is to keep the trains safely separated.
Although overcrowding has been an ongoing issue for passengers, the MTA is now taking the initiative to make the commute more comfortable and less sweaty for passengers.
Thanks, Jeannie. Next, Alyssa Macarone has the story of a subway nightmare that happened in broad daylight. Alyssa, tell us what happened to this young woman.
Well, you know, being a young woman on the subway is always a little nerve-wracking, and I found a woman who's actually experienced all of our nightmares, and I talked to her a little bit about how this really affected her life today.
Okay, let's watch.
The MTA is finally taking the steps to make our subways safer. However, this action was not so helpful to some. It was just 1 month earlier that Joanna Petruski was verbally assaulted here at the 168th station in broad daylight. On her way back from a Manhattan College track meet, Petruski was upset with her performance that day. Taking her day from bad to worse, a man approached her and began screaming in her face.
So everybody just kind of stood there and just kind of watched him yell at me and berate me, I guess.
In 2011, the MTA began pilot testing Help Point stations designed to be easy to use, visible, and to ensure the safety of customers riding the subways.
When I noticed it a couple of weeks ago, I was like, this is nice. It's nice to have that.
I really can't rely on anybody, so I always have to be like on guard when I'm by myself.
According to the MTA 2012 annual report, there were 2,710 reported crimes on the subways in 2012. 204 were felony assaults. Along with the fact that there was no sign of security near the site of the incident, the most shocking part of Petruski's story was the fact that while the incident occurred, not one person around came to her rescue.
Thanks, Alyssa. Here next is James O'Connor, who found a guy from Long Island with a Scotch-Irish sound. James, anything catch your eye about this young man?
I mean, you have to imagine it. This young man kilt, full Irish getup, bagpipes wailing, playing for strangers, and you know, stopping them dead in their tracks at 2 of the busiest subway stations.
All right, let's check it out.
Go down to the subway, walk around. Chances are you'll see a host of street performers, all of them unique. The most unique of them is Patrick Roniger, a full-time college student who plays his bagpipes in the subway for money. When Roniger plays, money is not guaranteed.
Today was the first day that I've never actually, we went around and we didn't find any good spots, so.
The idea to play in the subway came from his parents.
I think it's a fun experience for him, and he gets extra money.
But it worries me a little bit because sometimes subways aren't so nice.
Even though Roniger is one of the more unique performers, he is not the only one from Manhattan College.
He's really talented as a bagpipe player.
After a long day of studying engineering, playing his bagpipes in the subway, and everything else that comes with being a college student, Patrick Roniger retires here to his dorm at Manhattan College to repeat the entire process tomorrow. James O'Connor reporting from the Riverdale section of the Bronx.
Thanks, James. Now, Patrick Roniger isn't the only talented musician using the subway as a personal platform. Chris Cirillo went to Times Square in Penn Station to see more of these guys. Tell us what you found, Chris.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, these musicians, they make a lot of money. And one band, Caricatura, they just got back from touring the country, so these guys can play.
All right, let's check it out.
42nd Street is home to Times Square. Thousands of commuters travel from here every day. Just a couple blocks down the street is home to Madison Square Garden. All the greats have performed at MSG. But if you walk a couple blocks down here, you'll find a different type of concert. Performing in subway terminals has been a staple of the MTA for the past 34 years.
This is like a way that we can put ourselves in front of a larger audience. It's a way we can get out and hone our skills more often than if we were to play a club show every single Friday.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are Caricatura.
Performing in the subway is completely legal. In fact, it is encouraged. Ron Gibbs makes up to $400 playing in Penn Station.
The difficulty about playing in general is, of course, captivating an audience that is, as you see, everybody's rushing.
Despite the money, there are some downsides to playing here. As you can see, people are constantly rushing. There's a lot of noise. But when it comes to the subway, this is not your typical track. From 42nd Street, I'm Chris Cirillo.
Nice work, Chris. Now we have a story from Mike Paco, who visited Brooklyn Museum not everyone's had a chance to see. Mike, what kind of history did you uncover?
Yeah, the museum was really fascinating. They had all these old subway cars and relics, some of which are like over 100 years old. And so ever since the museum opened in 1976, it's just been a huge hit with the people.
All right, let's go to the museum.
2-minute walk from Borough Hall and Brooklyn Heights is the Mass Transit Museum.
In 1976, New York City decided to convert this old subway station into a mass transit museum for all to enjoy.
The museum has retired subway cars from as early as 1904.
It installed a transit exhibit here in 1976, and it was just really popular and a huge hit.
The museum displays the history of turnstiles and a photo gallery of how the subway system was first created.
A subway station that was never used or fell out of use and now is being repurposed to educate people on the history of the New York transit system.
The museum offers interactive machines and guided group tours, and patrons may even find a surprise as they walk around.
People that grew up in New York, you know, older folks like the group we were with, they love it because it's a walk down memory lane. It's so nostalgic.
The Mass Transit Museum is here for all people of different ages and sizes to enjoy, and if one knows nothing about the subway system, they're guaranteed to have a good time.
Thank you, Mike. Lisa Otts went exploring to see what strap hangers are reading these days. Any surprises, Lisa?
Well, Joe, people really seem to be interested in a sense of escape when reading on the subway. Sometimes it's mysticism, sometimes it's love stories. Physical books may also have an influence on the way we retain knowledge.
Okay, let's see what Lisa came up with.
On the New York City subway, people engage in many different activities, especially reading.
The unique experience of reading a physical book still prevails the convenience of an e-reader and an electronic device.
Based on a study done by the Pratt Institute, reading an actual book was ranked number 4 in activities observed on the subway.
I had a plan of reading everything written by G. Edward White. It'll stack up, take physical space.
In a study done by Keene University, students were able to retain more information with books when dealing with non-linear subjects like math.
I think a lot of people talk about e-books versus real books, and they don't take into account the content. But we may find out that certain subjects are benefited by tablets or e-books, and other books aren't.
Morreale's research concludes that the subject determines retention levels between the two mediums. The switch to electronic devices, however, is likely to increase.
Enriched in literary culture, New Yorkers seem to cling on to the physical contents of the book.
Thank you, Lisa. Omar Crespo went to Grand Central Terminal's Whispering Gallery. Omar, what's got these people stopped dead in their tracks?
Well, it's an odd and unique location. People talk to one another through a set of walls, and these set of walls are connected to a circular vault which echoes sound throughout, causing one's voice to sound like a whisper, hence the name.
Okay, let's see what all the whispering's about.
At the lower levels of Grand Central Terminal, underneath the main concourse and Vanderbilt Hall, stands a transient phenomenon.
There are people, usually in pairs or in groups of 3 or more, directing their other halves to the other ends of the individual archways.
The vaulted ceiling, designed by Raphael Guastavino in 1913, creates an echo chamber which directs sound from each archway.
They're layers, 3 layers thick, like plywood going in opposite directions.
The Cathedral of St. John the Divine, the City Hall subway station, and the Queensboro Bridge feature these Beaux-Arts style tiles.
Makes coming into Grand Central, like so many aspects of the design of Grand Central, a celebration. It makes it a joyful place, it makes it fun.
750,000 commuters pass through Grand Central Terminal every day. The wall is one of its popular destination points.
Thank you, Omar. Well, it seems sort of odd to find boutiques in the middle of subway stations with people rushing to get to the next train. Who has time to shop? Natalie Sullivan went inside a few of these stores. Natalie, tell us more about your afternoon of fashion in Grand Central Terminal.
Well, Joe, the shops are just a 2-minute walk from the shuttle from 42nd Street, so it's certainly an interesting dynamic when people are rushing for their trains while other people enjoy shopping or lunch in the terminal.
Okay, let's see what you have, Natalie.
Good shopping isn't always located in a lavish department store or even a supermarket. Sometimes you can find it right in your subway station, just like right here at Grand Central Terminal. Grand Central Terminal is a historical building that thousands of New Yorkers and tourists alike pass through each day. Right in the middle of the commotion of people dashing for their trains are 68 shops and 35 restaurants.
Grand Central Station is really fun to work in. It's very vibrant. It's always full of people who are in a rush. In Grand Central, you could work here 1,000 days in a row and see a different person every day.
The Grand Central Market, located within the retail stores, offers several specialty shops such as Oliver & Company.
The main thing about working in Grand Central is sometimes people will run into your store and they'll be like, I need a gift, I have $50 to spend and I have 3 seconds of my time, and you have to just figure out ways to make a gift happen for them very quickly.
With any luck, the trend will catch on and commuters everywhere can have a lavish shopping experience at their very own subway station.
Thanks, Natalie. Well, I guess you never know what you'll find on the subway. From musicians to museums to shops to stops. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Joe Cutbirth. To the next time, to the next stop.